If someone had told me age could mean patience instead of distance, I wouldn't have listened. 72 hours was all it took to topple an empire. A handful of bad bets, one staggering betrayal, and a media storm so vicious it scorched everything in its path. Rowan Sterling, once the tech world's golden girl, fell from billionaire genius to public disgrace. Faster than a flight from New York to San Francisco on her now seized private jet, she could still see herself in the rear cabin just last week, sipping champagne that cost more than most people's rent, sealing a deal that should have made her legacy untouchable. She remembered laughing, smug and unstoppable, unaware that the CFO she trusted since college was already siphoning millions out from under her. Now Rowan was sitting on a bench outside a grimy 24-hour diner in a part of the city she used to avoid on principle. Her clothes were wrinkled, her designer shoes were ruined by a gutter full of rainwater and cigarette butts. Her hair, once the perfect expensive mess of effortless waves, was now pulled into a messy bun that felt more like surrender than style. No one recognized her anymore, not without the entourage, the flawless makeup, the security detail. Just another tired woman staring at the ground, trying not to cry. Her fingers curled around a paper cup of lukewarm coffee she bought with her last $5. She hadn't eaten in 2 days. She didn't know where she was going to sleep tonight. Her old penthouse was locked down, frozen assets and all. Her friends had stopped answering the moment her name trended for the wrong reasons. The silence around her was loud, so loud until a voice broke it. "That seat taken." Rowan looked up and then kept looking. The woman standing in front of her was older, late 40s, maybe early 50s, tall, striking, hair a cascade of silver and black waves, eyes sharp as ice, and just as dangerous. She wore a long wool coat, dark jeans, boots that looked like they'd walked through hell and back. If you enjoyed this content and want to support the channel in a special way, try clicking the thanks button below. It's the one with the heart and $sign icon. With super thanks, you can make a direct contribution to the channel, which helps me keep creating awesome videos for you. There was a confidence in her stance that didn't ask for permission. It expected compliance. Rowan blinked. "What the bench?" the woman said, lips twitching in something that wasn't quite a smile. "Mind if I sit?" Rowan gestured vaguely numb. "Knock yourself out." The woman lowered herself beside her with a soft sigh, pulling a small paper bag from her coat pocket. The smell hit Rowan immediately. Fresh flaky pastry and melted butter. Her stomach growled so loudly it startled both of them. The woman turned her head. "You hungry?" Rowan swallowed hard, shame rising in her throat. "I'm fine." "You're not," the woman said calmly, tearing the croissant in half and offering her the larger piece. "But I won't press." Rowan stared at the pastry, then at the woman, then back again. Her pride screamed. Her body overruled it. She took the croissant. "Thanks. Don't mention it." They ate in silence. For a while, the world seemed to soften around the edges. The rain had stopped. The city lights flickered through the fog like secrets trying to stay hidden. Rowan risked a glance sideways. The woman wasn't looking at her, but there was something in her profile that felt deliberate, aware. "You always feed random homeless women pastries?" Rowan asked Evelyn. The woman finally looked at her, and her gaze hit like a goddamn current. Not cruel, not pitiful, just direct. "Only the ones who look like they used to own the building." Rowan froze. "You know who I am." "Of course I do, Rowan Sterling." The way she said her name, it wasn't reverent. It wasn't venomous either. Just factual, grounded. "Then you know I'm a disaster right now. You're a woman who got hit hard. That's not the same as being broken." Most people would disagree. Most people don't matter. Rowan stared at her. "Who are you?" The woman offered her hand. "Evelyn Mercer." Rowan hesitated, then took it. Her grip was warm, steady. "And what do you do, Evelyn Mercer?" "I restore things," Evelyn said, eyes never leaving hers. "Old houses, broken clocks, people sometimes." Rowan swallowed. Her throat felt tight. That sounds noble. It's just living. We all find ways to keep going. Rowan looked down at her hands. I don't even know where I'm sleeping tonight. Do you trust me? The question came too fast. Too quiet. Rowan looked up. Evelyn was watching her like she already knew the answer. I don't even know you, Rowan said. And yet you haven't let go of my hand. Rowan pulled back, startled. She hadn't realized. Sorry. Don't be. Silence again. But this time it wasn't so heavy. Look, Evelyn said, standing slowly, brushing crumbs off her coat. I've got a spare room and a coffee maker that works. I can't fix your life, but I can give you a warm bed and a door that locks. Rowan stared at her. Why? Because you need it, and I remember what it felt like to need something that bad. You're just offering that to a stranger? No, Evelyn said to you. Rowan hesitated. Her whole body had. Her heart felt like it had been shattered and glued back together with caffeine and spite. But when Evelyn held out her hand again, she took it. They walked side by side into the fog. No promises, no explanations, just the beginning of something neither of them could name yet. But it felt like the first warm thing in days. And Rowan, ruined, bitter, raw, found herself wondering if maybe, just maybe, she hadn't lost everything after all. Evelyn's house wasn't what Rowan expected. It wasn't huge or modern or filled with expensive art and minimalist furniture. It wasn't trying to be anything other than exactly what it was. A home cozy, warm, lived in. The kind of place that smelled like lavender and books and fresh bread. The kind of place Rowan hadn't let herself step into in years. Not since her parents died. Not since she learned how to turn every emotion into ambition. Evelyn didn't ask questions when Rowan walked through the door. She just handed her a folded towel, a fresh t-shirt, and a pair of soft cotton shorts. The shower's down the hall. Clean yourself up. I'll make tea. Rowan opened her mouth to say something. Thank you, or no, or I can't accept this. But the words stuck somewhere behind her ribs. So instead, she just nodded. The shower was the best thing she'd felt in days, maybe weeks. The water pressure was strong, and the temperature was perfect. And the shampoo smelled like rosemary. Rowan scrubbed away the last traces of the life she'd lost. The sweat, the dirt, the city's cruel indifference. And tried not to cry when she saw herself in the mirror afterward. She looked different. Not just tired, hollowed. And yet, when she stepped into the kitchen wearing Evelyn's clothes, the older woman didn't look at her like she was broken. She looked at her like she was seeing someone for the first time. Really seeing her. Better? Evelyn asked, sliding a steaming mug across the counter. Rowan wrapped her hands around it like it was the only warm thing left in the world. Yeah, you can sleep in the guest room. Second door on the right. Sheets are clean. Windows cracked open a little. It gets warm at night. You didn't have to do this. I know. Evelyn sat across from her, her gaze steady. But I wanted to. Rowan took a sip. Chamomile and honey. The kind of thing meant to soothe someone. What's your deal? She asked. No one just helps like this. Evelyn smiled slowly, the corner of her mouth lifting in a way that felt intimate. You think kindness is a trap. I think kindness is usually transactional. Then let me be the exception. Rowan stared at her, at the lines at the corners of her eyes, at the way her hair shimmered silver under the kitchen light, at the strength in her hands and the calm in her voice. There was something magnetic about her, grounded, commanding, and yet soft where it mattered. Who broke your heart? Rowan asked before she could stop herself. Evelyn's eyes didn't flinch. Everyone eventually. So why do you still care? Because it's not about them. It's about who I choose to be. Rowan went quiet. She didn't know what to do with that kind of strength, that kind of clarity. You want something to eat? Evelyn asked gently. I can heat up some soup. I'm fine, Rowan. The way she said her name, it stopped every thought in its tracks. You haven't eaten properly in days. You don't have to prove anything here. Just let yourself be. Rowan's throat tightened. That's the hardest thing. I know. Evelyn stood and moved to the stove, moving with a kind of elegance that didn't come from youth, but from experience. She moved like someone who knew herself. Rowan watched her stir the pot, watched the way her back curved, the way her fingers gripped the handle, the way her eyes softened when she looked over her shoulder. "You're staring," Evelyn murmured. Rowan blinked. "Sorry. Don't be." She brought over a bowl and placed it in front of her. "Eat, then sleep, bossy. You're not the first stubborn woman I've fed, but probably the prettiest." "You said it, not me." Rowan smirked. "You're flirting with me, maybe." Evelyn poured herself a glass of wine and leaned against the counter. "Would that be a problem?" "I don't know," Rowan said, spoon halfway to her mouth. "You're not exactly what I pictured." "What did you picture?" "Someone who needed me, not the other way around." Evelyn's gaze didn't waver. "Maybe it's time you let someone catch you." That hit too deep, too fast. Rowan focused on the soup. It was good, not fancy, just real, nourishing in a way she hadn't let herself need in years. After she finished, she stood. "I should sleep. Guest room's ready." Evelyn walked her to the door, then paused. "Do you want me to leave the light on in the hall?" Rowan almost laughed. "I'm not a kid." That wasn't the question. Rowan hesitated, then nodded. "Yeah, leave it on." She stepped into the room and closed the door, leaning against it for a long moment. The bed was small but soft. The sheets smelled like lemon and sunlight. She lay down fully clothed, staring at the ceiling. And for the first time since everything collapsed, she didn't feel like she was free falling. She felt held. The next morning, sunlight spilled into the room. She woke to the smell of coffee and something frying. Her feet hit the floor before she could stop herself. Evelyn was already at the table reading a book barefoot, glasses sliding down her nose. Rowan stared. She didn't mean to, but God, she looked beautiful like that. Effortless, unbothered, sexy in a way that came from knowing exactly who you were and not apologizing for it. "You're up," Evelyn said without looking. "You sound surprised. I thought you'd sleep in." "Why?" "Because when people feel safe for the first time in a while, they usually do." Rowan sat down. "I don't know what this is." "What this?" "You. Me being here." Evelyn set the book aside. "It's not a trap. It's not a favor. It's just a beginning of whatever we let it be." Their eyes met, and the space between them thickened with something unspoken, unavoidable. Rowan's pulse picked up. "And what if I want something complicated? Then I hope you like women who don't scare easily." Rowan's breath hitched. "You don't even know me." "Not yet." Evelyn's voice dropped. "But I'm very good at learning people." The air buzzed and Rowan suddenly felt too warm. "Too soon. I should get dressed," she muttered. "If you must." Evelyn's smile followed her all the way down the hall, and Rowan, halfway to the guest room, realized something terrifying. She didn't want to leave. Not anymore. Rowan told herself she would only stay one night, just enough time to clear her head, to figure out her next move, to regain some semblance of control. That was 3 days ago. She was making breakfast now bare feet, bed hair, while Evelyn stood across the kitchen with a mug, pretending not to stare. Pretending, because Rowan felt it. The looks that lingered a second too long. The pauses before words. The accidental brushes that were anything but. Evelyn was steady. Rowan was not. Her veins still thrummed with adrenaline and caffeine, and the metallic aftertaste of humiliation. And yet, in the hush of Evelyn's kitchen, she didn't feel like a failure. She felt real. "You're burning the toast," Evelyn said. Rowan blinked at the toaster. "Shit." She yanked the slices free and winced at the blackened edges. "Guess I'm not exactly housewife material." "Pity," Evelyn murmured. "You've got the legs for it." Rowan turned slowly. "Did you just say I have housewife legs?" "You brought up the housewife thing. You didn't deny it." Evelyn's eyes stayed calm, but her mouth twitched. I'm just saying the apron's not doing you any favors. The rest. Her gaze drifted down and up again, purposeful, dangerous. Rowan's breath snagged. You're flirting with me again. Am I? You know you are. Evelyn sipped her coffee. And how does that make you feel? Like I should be running? Rowan said, swallowing. But you're not. No, Rowan answered, voice low. I'm not. The air thickened, dense with what neither of them said. Evelyn set her mug down and stepped closer, not touching, just near enough to make Rowan's pulse drum. Why did you stay? She asked softly. Rowan didn't answer right away. She stared at the ruined toast, then looked up. Because you looked at me like I wasn't ruined. You're not. You don't know that. I know what I see. Evelyn moved closer still, a breath apart. You're strong, wounded, proud to a fault, and so beautiful it's almost offensive. You're younger than me. That's not a problem for me. Is it for you? I don't know. Do you want it to be? Rowan met those sharp blue eyes and felt something shift. No. Evelyn lifted a hand, slow and careful, like soothing a wild thing that might bolt. Her fingers found a stray lock at Rowan's cheek and tucked it behind her ear. You don't have to be ready for anything, she said. I'm not asking for more than you can give. What if I want to give everything? Then I'll take it gently. Rowan's knees almost buckled. She reached for the counter to steady herself. Evelyn didn't move. Do you want me to step back? No, say it. I want you close, Rowan breathed. Evelyn stepped in, and their bodies brushed, just enough to set her skin on fire. That's all you have to say, Evelyn whispered. Rowan's lips parted. Her body screamed for contact, for something more, for the kiss they hadn't shared yet. But both felt coming like a storm on the horizon. But Evelyn didn't lean in. She just stood there offering, waiting. Rowan exhaled sharply and stepped back. I can't, she said. Not yet. Evelyn nodded once. No disappointment. No pressure. Then we wait. You're very patient. I like to savor things, especially the ones that burn slow. Rowan turned and fled into the guest room, into her thoughts. Into the silence she used to mistake for safety. She sat on the edge of the bed, heart pounding, hand trembling slightly. She wanted her. God, she wanted her. But she also wanted to be more than what was left behind after a crash. She wanted to be whole, and she wasn't there. Not yet. That night, they didn't talk much. Evelyn cooked something simple, pasta and garlic bread. Rowan offered to help, and Evelyn handed her a spoon like it was a ceremony. They moved around each other like a practiced rhythm, never colliding, always aware. After dinner, they sat on the couch, not touching, a movie playing in the background that neither of them really watched. Rowan leaned her head back and closed her eyes. She could feel Evelyn's presence beside her like a gravitational pull. Can I ask you something? Rowan said, of course. Have you ever fallen in love with someone who wasn't ready? Evelyn was quiet for a long moment. Then, yes. Did they ever catch up to you? No. Rowan's throat tightened. So, why are you trying again? Because I see you trying, Evelyn said softly. And that's enough for me. Rowan turned her head. Evelyn was watching her with eyes that held no pity, only warmth. Desire, yes, but also something deeper, something dangerous. I don't want to hurt you, Rowan said. Then don't, Evelyn said. Just be honest. That's all I ask. Rowan looked down. I'm scared. I know. I'm used to being the one in control. I'm not trying to take your power. I just want to be beside you when you stand back up. Rowan let out a shaky breath. You make it hard to breathe. You'll get used to it. Evelyn stood then, brushing her hand gently over Rowan's shoulder as she passed. The touch lingered, burned, and when Rowan finally went to bed, she dreamed of hands on her skin, breath on her neck, and a voice in her ear whispering, "You're not broken. You're becoming." Rowan didn't know what pulled her out of bed that night. Maybe it was the dreams, soft electric flashes of lips brushing skin, of whispers in the dark that didn't belong to memory. Maybe it was the silence that didn't feel empty anymore, but full, like the house was breathing. Or maybe it was just the ache deep in her chest, in her bones. The ache of wanting something so badly it hurt to be still. She wandered into the kitchen barefoot, pulled toward the faint golden glow spilling under the doorframe. Evelyn was there, of course, sitting at the table in an oversized sweater and nothing else. Legs crossed, reading something with her glasses low on her nose and a glass of wine untouched beside her. Her hair was loose, her skin bare, and Rowan's breath caught in her throat. "Couldn't sleep?" Evelyn asked without looking up. "You either." Rowan's voice was quiet. She felt like she was intruding, not on the room, but on something sacred. "Sleep is overrated when you've got a mind that won't shut up," Evelyn replied, finally meeting her gaze. "Come sit." Rowan hesitated, then crossed the room and lowered herself into the chair across from her. "You always read at 2 a.m. only when I want to be found." That landed too hard, too precise. Rowan looked away. "I couldn't stop thinking about what? About you? About this." This Evelyn's voice was gentle, but it carried weight. "Whatever's happening between us." "You mean the part where I want to touch you constantly, but I'm waiting for you to tell me I can." Rowan's eyes snapped back to hers. "Don't do that." "Do what?" "Be so calm about it. Would you rather I pretended I didn't want you?" "I don't know." "Liar." Rowan stood suddenly, restless, pacing. "I've never felt like this before. It's not just attraction. It's you. You undo me." Evelyn watched her, eyes calm, unreadable. "Come here." Rowan didn't move. "Why?" "Because I want to hold you and you want to be held. You just don't know how to ask for it yet." Rowan's heart hammered. Her pride screamed, but her feet moved anyway, slowly, step by step, until she stood right in front of Evelyn. The older woman reached out and took her hand, guiding her gently into her lap. Rowan froze as strong arms wrapped around her waist, pulling her in like she belonged there. "You're trembling," Evelyn whispered. "I don't know how to be close like this," Rowan said, her voice cracking. "Then let me show you." Evelyn's hands slid up her back, fingers drawing lazy patterns that made Rowan's skin shiver. She didn't speak, didn't rush, just held her like she had all the time in the world. Rowan buried her face in Evelyn's neck, breathing in the scent of skin and wine, and something warm underneath it all. Her body, taut with restraint, slowly began to soften. "You're safe here," Evelyn murmured. "No one's expecting you to be anything but human." Rowan pulled back just enough to look into her eyes. "I want to kiss you," she confessed. "Then kiss me. But if I do, I don't think I'll be able to stop." "Then don't." The moment stretched, stilled, and then their mouths met. The kiss was slow at first, tentative, testing, but the second their lips fully connected, something inside Rowan snapped. Her hands tangled in Evelyn's hair, pulling her closer, deeper, hungry for more. Evelyn responded with a low sound that vibrated between them, her hands gripping Rowan's hips, anchoring her, guiding her. The kiss deepened, turned messier, wetter, more desperate. Rowan had never kissed someone like this, like she was searching for pieces of herself in someone else's mouth, like she was drowning and Evelyn was the air. When they finally broke apart, breathless and flushed, Rowan pressed her forehead to Evelyn's. "What are we doing?" she whispered. "Something dangerous," Evelyn said, "and perfect." "I'm scared." "Good. That means it matters." Evelyn's hands were warm under the hem of Rowan's shirt, not pushing, just resting. "Tell me to stop and I will." "I don't want you to stop." "Then let me show you how it feels to be wanted without condition." Rowan nodded, her throat too tight to speak. Evelyn kissed her again, softer this time, reverent, and then lifted her effortlessly into her arms. Rowan gasped, clinging to her instinctively. "You didn't have to." "I know," Evelyn said, "but I wanted to." She carried her down the hall, each step deliberate, careful. When they reached the bedroom, Evelyn set her down gently on the bed and climbed in beside her. But she didn't rush, didn't pounce. She lay beside her, pulling Rowan into her arms like a promise. "We don't have to do anything more tonight," she said. "This is enough. You're enough." Rowan clung to her, not out of fear, but because something in her head finally let go. And in the dark, with Evelyn's heartbeat in her ear and her body pressed close, she felt something terrifying and beautiful take root. She wasn't falling. Not anymore. She was choosing. And it felt like the beginning of something she might not survive, but desperately wanted to. Rowan woke to warmth. Not the sunlight kind, not the cheap motel blanket kind, but the real kind. The kind that wrapped around her and breathed. Evelyn's arms were around her waist, her breath steady against the back of Rowan's neck. Her leg tangled with hers like it had every right to be there. And it did because Rowan hadn't pushed her away, hadn't moved, hadn't wanted to. Not then, not now. She stayed still for a long time, eyes open, watching the way light crept slowly across the ceiling. Her heart was beating too loud, not from fear, not even from regret, just from the weight of knowing everything was different now. Evelyn stirred behind her, a soft exhale, a shift of muscle, then a voice low and rough with sleep. "You're awake. Yeah, you didn't run. I thought about it, and the bed was too warm." Evelyn chuckled, and the sound made Rowan's stomach flip. "That's the best compliment I've had in years. I'm not really good at this." "At what?" "The part after." Evelyn pressed her lips to Rowan's shoulder. A kiss without agenda, just contact. "You don't have to be good at anything, just honest." Rowan rolled onto her back, eyes meeting Evelyn's. "Are we going to pretend this didn't change everything? Do you want to pretend?" "No. Then let it change us. I'm still figuring out what us means." "So am I," Evelyn said, "but it feels like something I want to keep figuring out with you." Rowan stared at her, at the quiet confidence in her expression, at the way she didn't reach to hold her tighter or kiss her again. Just waited, giving space. Rowan's voice was soft. "I don't want to need you. That's not a crime. It feels like one. Only if you think needing someone makes you weak." "It does." "No," Evelyn said, "it means you're alive." Rowan sat up, pulling the blanket around her. "You talk like someone who's already survived the worst." "I have, and this." Rowan motioned between them. "Is this survival, too?" Evelyn pushed up slowly, the sheet slipping to her waist, unashamed in her stillness, her softness, her strength. "No, this is what comes after." "After what?" "After the fire, after the fall, after you start to learn how to begin again." Rowan shut her eyes. "I don't know if I'm ready for that." "Then just be ready for breakfast." Rowan cracked one eye. "You're feeding me again. I like watching you eat. You never trust the first bite. You're studying me." "Of course I am. That's dangerous." "So are you." Rowan stood and tugged on last night's t-shirt. "Fine. I'll eat, but I'm making the coffee. Deal?" They moved around the kitchen like they'd rehearsed it 100 times. Easy, quiet, unhurried. Evelyn cooked. Rowan leaned against the counter, watching with a hunger she'd never say aloud. There was something about the way Evelyn held space, like it didn't need filling, only honoring. She plated eggs and toast without fanfare and set them down. Rowan sat, took a bite, and exhaled. "You're annoyingly good at this. Feeding you or seducing you." "Both." Evelyn smiled. "I haven't even started seducing you yet." "You haven't?" "No. That was me being polite. Terrifying. Effective." Rowan paused mid-bite. "What do you want from me?" "Honesty. Company. A reason to wake up early." She tipped her head. "And your laugh. I haven't really heard it." "It's rusty," Rowan murmured. "I'll polish it." "You're impossible. You're breathtaking." Rowan's breath hitched. "You can't just say things like that." "Why not?" "Because I'll start to believe them." Evelyn reached across, covering Rowan's hand with her own. "Good." They stayed like that, unmoving, light touch humming with something truer, deeper. "What happens if I fall for you?" Rowan whispered. "Then I'll catch you," Evelyn said, "and keep you." "I'm not easy." "You're worth the effort." Overwhelmed, Rowan stood. I need to clear my head. Take the garden path, Evelyn said. It's quiet this time of morning. Rowan nodded and slipped barefoot out the back door. The air was cool. The sky, a soft blue. The garden was overgrown, but beautiful, wild and free, and full of life. She sat on the edge of a stone bench and let the silence wash over her. Her hands trembled. Her heart had. She wanted Evelyn, all of her, but she wanted herself, too. Whole, steady, not afraid. You're not broken, she whispered to herself. You're just becoming. She didn't hear the footsteps until Evelyn was beside her. No words, just a mug of coffee offered in silence. Rowan took it, drank, and then leaned her head on Evelyn's shoulder. Thank you, she said. For what? For staying. Evelyn kissed the top of her head. I'm not going anywhere. And maybe, just maybe, Rowan was starting to believe her. Rowan had never known quiet like this. Not the hollow kind that comes from emptiness, but the full kind. The kind that hums with warmth and meaning. The kind that holds space for you instead of pushing you out. Evelyn's house was full of it. Every room, every corner, every soft footstep. She moved like she belonged in the silence. And slowly Rowan was beginning to believe she did, too. It had been a week since the night they first touched. A week of slow mornings and late-night glances, of brushing fingers and lingering stares, of almost kisses in doorways and quiet smiles shared over coffee. Rowan hadn't left yet. She hadn't even packed a bag. Part of her kept waiting for Evelyn to ask what her plan was, what came next, but she never did. She just made space every single day until Rowan started waking up, thinking not about the world she'd lost, but about the one she was beginning to build here. She found Evelyn on the back porch the evening, barefoot, drinking wine, her hair tied up in a loose knot that revealed the curve of her neck. Rowan's pulse quickened at the sight of her every damn time. There you are, Evelyn said without turning. I was just about to come looking for you. You always know where I am. I pay attention. Dangerous habit. Only when I like someone. Rowan sat beside her, the wood warm beneath her legs. You always this patient. Only when I want something that's worth waiting for. Rowan looked at her. Really looked. And what is it you want? Evelyn turned her head. Their eyes met and the air thickened. You? The word landed hard. Honest. Undeniable. Rowan looked away. I don't know how to be someone worth that. Evelyn reached out, brushing her knuckles along Rowan's jaw. You already are. Rowan leaned into the touch before she could stop herself. You make me feel like I'm not drowning anymore. You are never drowning, Evelyn said softly. You are searching and you're allowed to want something other than survival. Rowan closed her eyes. I want this. Then have it. Evelyn leaned in slow and deliberate, giving her space to move away. Rowan didn't. Their lips met in a kiss that felt like gravity giving in. Slow, deep, full of everything they'd held back all week. Rowan pulled her closer, hands sliding into Evelyn's hair, breath catching as their bodies pressed together. Evelyn kissed her like she had all the time in the world, like she wasn't afraid of need, like she knew exactly how to hold her without asking her to break. They didn't make it to the bedroom. Not right away. The porch bench was wide, the night warm, the air buzzing with crickets, and the low hum of desire. Evelyn's hands moved slowly, reverently, as if she were mapping Rowan's body like a story she'd waited years to read. Rowan's breath hitched when Evelyn kissed along her throat, her collarbone, the curve of her shoulder. Tell me if it's too much, Evelyn whispered. It's not enough, Rowan gasped. Clothes were shed in pieces, like confessions. Touches grew bolder, but never rushed. And when Evelyn finally took her in her arms, fully, completely, it felt less like possession and more like communion, like being seen, like being claimed in the gentlest, fiercest way. Afterward, they lay tangled on the porch bench, wrapped in a throw blanket, the stars peeking through a cloudy sky. Rowan rested her head on Evelyn's chest, listening to the steady rhythm of her heart. That felt like something I can't explain, she whispered. Evelyn's fingers traced lazy circles on her bare back. Then don't explain it. Just feel it. Rowan was quiet for a long time. I think I'm falling for you. Evelyn didn't speak, just pulled her closer, kissed her temple, and let her heart answer in the silence. Rowan could feel it in the way Evelyn held her, in the way she didn't ask for more, in the way her hands never stopped moving. Soothing, steady. I don't want to lose this, Rowan said. Then don't let go. I might say something I can't take back. Say it anyway. Rowan lifted her head. Their eyes met in the dark. I think I love you, she said, voice breaking. Evelyn exhaled slowly. You think? Rowan laughed softly. I know. Evelyn leaned up and kissed her soft, slow, full of everything she didn't have words for. When they parted, she rested her forehead against Rowan's. I knew it the first time you yelled at the toaster. Rowan laughed harder. You're impossible. And you're mine, Evelyn whispered. Rowan didn't argue because it felt true. And maybe for the first time in her life, she didn't want to run from it. It was the way Evelyn looked at her that undid Rowan most. Not the kisses, not the sex, not even the whispered I know in the dark after Rowan finally admitted she loved her. No, it was the morning after when Evelyn handed her coffee and said, You grind your teeth when you're stressed, and kissed her on the forehead, like it was the most natural thing in the world. That level of knowing, of noticing, of caring. It made Rowan feel seen in a way that was beautiful and unbearable all at once. She wasn't used to being someone's soft thing. She was the one who built walls, carved out power with sharp words and a sharper tongue. But here with Evelyn, she was all raw edges and exposed nerves. And instead of recoiling, Evelyn only stepped closer. It was dangerous, addictive. Rowan found herself watching Evelyn when she didn't mean to. The way she moved through the house. The way her fingers brushed the edge of a page when she read. The way she hummed songs from a different decade while folding laundry. Every detail became something Rowan didn't want to live without. And that terrified her. You're brooding again, Evelyn said one afternoon, slipping beside her on the porch swing. Am I? I can hear it from the kitchen. Rowan didn't answer. Evelyn handed her a glass of lemonade and let the silence sit. Want to tell me what's going on in that beautiful chaotic mind of yours? What if this doesn't last? Rowan asked softly. What if it all goes away again? Evelyn leaned her head back, eyes on the trees swaying in the afternoon breeze. Then we'll fight for it every day until the end. You make it sound easy. Not easy. Worth it. Rowan sipped the lemonade. It was cold, sweet, sharp. I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop for the universe to remember. I don't get to have things like this. You think you don't deserve to be loved? I think I ruined my own life. I think I built something on power and control, and when it crumbled, it took me with it. Evelyn turned toward her, tucking a piece of wind-blown hair behind Rowan's ear. Then maybe this is your chance to build something different. With what? I don't have anything left. You have me. The words made Rowan flinch, not because they weren't true, but because they were. What if that's not enough? She whispered. Then we'll find more together, Evelyn said. But you don't get to walk away just because you're scared. I'm not. Yes, you are. And it's okay. But don't pretend you're not. Rowan looked at her, throat tight. You always call me out like this. Only when you're trying to run from something you want. Evelyn leaned in, pressing a kiss to the corner of her mouth. And you want this. You want me to. I do. Rowan admitted so much. It makes my chest hurt. Good. How is that good? Because it means it's real. They didn't speak for a while after that. Just sat, letting the weight of their honesty settle around them like the slow shift of seasons. That night, Rowan had a dream. She was back in her penthouse, glass and chrome and silence. The lights were on, but no one was home. The furniture was clean. Her clothes were pristine. Her phone buzzed with congratulatory messages she couldn't answer. And she was alone, utterly achingly alone. She woke up breathless, sweat cooling on her skin. The echo of that old emptiness clawing at her chest. Evelyn was already awake, sitting in bed beside her, reading Nightmare. Old life, Rowan muttered. Evelyn set the book aside. Want to talk about it? No, I want to forget it. Then let me help. Evelyn reached out, curling an arm around Rowan and pulling her into her lap like she weighed nothing. Rowan didn't fight it. She let herself be held, rocked gently like she was something breakable but precious. You're safe, Evelyn whispered. You're not going back to that. Not ever. Rowan buried her face in Evelyn's neck. Promise. Swear it. Even if everything changes, especially then, you'd stay. I choose you again and again. Rowan kissed her. A desperate, hungry kiss that tasted like fear and longing, and the kind of hope she didn't dare say out loud. Evelyn responded in kind, slow and firm, and grounding. Come here, she murmured, guiding Rowan down onto the bed. Their clothes disappeared in silence, not torn or rushed, but peeled away like truth, like confession. Their bodies came together like they'd always belonged. This time was different, slower, more deliberate. Every touch was a question and an answer. Every moan was a promise. And when it was over, Rowan lay wrapped in Evelyn's arms, heart beating too fast, throat thick with unshed words. Say it again, Evelyn whispered. Say you love me. I do, Rowan said, voice shaking. I love you. I love you so much it terrifies me. Then be terrified, Evelyn said, but don't ever stop saying it. Will you still want me if I fall apart again? Yes, especially then. Rowan closed her eyes and let herself believe it. Let herself hope. Let herself stay. For once, love didn't feel like a cage. It felt like a door she'd finally dared to open. It happened on a Thursday, the kind of day that felt too perfect, like the universe was lulling them into softness before the blow. Rowan had just stepped outside to grab the mail when she saw him leaning against a sleek black car, sunglasses pushed up into his hair, mouth curled in that familiar smirk that used to make her feel powerful, and now just made her stomach twist. Rowan Sterling, he drawled. Didn't think I'd find you this far off the map. She froze, the mailbox still open, fingers clenched around a stack of envelopes. What are you doing here, Mason? Just checking in on an old friend. We're not friends. Come on, don't be like that. We built an empire together once and you helped burn it to the ground. He held up his hands allegedly. Get off the property. You've downgraded, he said, ignoring her command, glancing around at the garden, the quiet little home that wasn't his world. This your new kingdom? Rowan's jaw tightened. You don't get to question my life anymore. I came with an offer. I don't want it. You haven't heard it yet. I don't need to. He took a step closer. You're hiding out here. Rowan holed up with some older woman in a borrowed house acting like none of it happened. But you and I both know you were made for more than flower beds and afternoon tea. You don't know anything about me. I know you miss the game. No, I miss who I thought I was, not who I had to become to keep pace with you. You're wasting yourself here. I'm healing myself here. Then consider this closure. One last shot. I'm building something new, big, loud, and I want you at the table. Real power, real money, a clean narrative in the public eye. Say yes and you're back on the map. Rowan stared, heart thudding, not because it wasn't tempting, but because for a heartbeat it was. For a heartbeat she remembered what it felt like to be that woman. Untouchable, respected, feared. I'm not her anymore, she said, low. That version of me died the day you sold me out. Don't kid yourself, Rowan. You liked being on top. Now I like being free. A new voice sliced through the air, calm, steady, lethal. She told you to leave. Evelyn stood on the porch, arms folded, eyes sharp enough to cut steel. And I suggest you listen. His gaze flicked to her. You must be the woman she shacked up with. Evelyn came down the steps like a storm with a spine. Get in your car and go, or the next words out of your mouth will be through broken teeth. He smirked, but retreated a pace. Touchy, protective, she corrected. Now go, He hesitated, looked back at Rowan. You'll regret this. I already regret ever letting you close. You used to be smarter. And now I'm finally safe. He slammed into his car and drove off. The quiet he left behind roared. Evelyn moved to Rowan's side and said nothing at first, just stood with her, breathing, waiting. Rowan's hands trembled. I used to be that, she whispered. That cold, that selfish, that empty. You aren't anymore. What if pieces of her are still in me? Then we'll love those pieces, too, Evelyn said gently. They kept you alive long enough to become the woman I'm looking at now. Rowan broke. Just a little. Enough for her shoulders to sag, for her body to lean into Evelyn's, for her breath to catch on something too big to hold in. Evelyn caught her. Of course she did. You didn't even ask who he was, Rowan said against her chest. Didn't need to. I saw your face. He used to be everything, and now he's a ghost. Then let him haunt someone else. Evelyn pulled back, cuped Rowan's face in both hands. You don't owe him anything. You don't owe anyone anything but yourself. Why are you so good at this? Because I've been the woman picking up someone else's pieces before, and no one did it for me. Rowan kissed her fast, needy, full of gratitude and fear and love so sharp it hurt. Let me stay, she whispered. Let me belong here. You already do. That night, Rowan couldn't sleep. She lay awake, curled beside Evelyn, listening to the rain tap against the windows. Her fingers trailed absent-mindedly across Evelyn's skin, tracing invisible patterns. He made me think love was a transaction, Rowan said. Evelyn didn't move, just reached down and laced their fingers together. And what do you think now? That love is staying, choosing even when it's hard. Especially then. You stayed. I always will. Say it. Rowan whispered. Say you love me again. Evelyn turned, eyes glowing in the dark. I love you, she said. I love every piece, every scar, every moment you think you're too much or not enough. I love you when you're silent, when you're furious, when you're soft. Rowan pressed her face into Evelyn's neck, tears hot and silent. Then don't let me run when I get scared. I won't, Evelyn promised. But I'll always leave the door open for you to come back. Rowan's arms tightened around her. I won't need it. You might. I won't, she said again. Because I'm already home. Rowan never imagined peace would be the thing that scared her most. She was used to chaos, fast deals, faster exits. Her old life had been a carousel of motion. Meetings, decisions, money, press, power. Nothing had ever stood still. Nothing had ever stayed. And yet here she was standing barefoot in Evelyn's kitchen on a Saturday morning, wearing one of her sweaters, hair still wet from the shower, watching pancake batter bubble in a cast iron pan, while the woman she loved hummed off-key and leaned against the counter, like they hadn't just survived an emotional war a few days earlier. Peace felt dangerous because peace meant this was real. Evelyn looked over her shoulder. You're staring. I do that a lot lately. Can't blame you. She winked and Rowan laughed soft and genuine. You always this charming. Only for the ones I fall for. Rowan stepped closer, slipping her arms around Evelyn's waist, resting her chin on her shoulder. So, I'm special. You're ruinous. That a good thing? The best. They finished breakfast in that same soft silence they learned to share, full of touches and glances and comfort. Afterward, they sat on the porch, sunlight soaking through the leaves, coffee warm in their hands. I've been thinking, Rowan said. Oh, rude. You thinking is usually followed by world domination. Not this time. Evelyn turned to her, brow arched. I want to build something again, Rowan said. Not a company. Not an empire, something meaningful, real. Tell me, I used to fund nonprofits as a tax write-off, but some of them were doing good work. I didn't care then. I want to care now. I want to use what I know to actually help people. Evelyn nodded, eyes soft. You could do that easily, but I don't want to do it alone. You won't have to. I want to build something with you. That made Evelyn pause. You mean not just love, not just staying here until the next crisis. I want to make something that belongs to both of us. Something that carries your name, too. Evelyn leaned back. You're serious? Dead? You're asking me to go into business with you. Not business. Legacy. I want to create something that reflects both of us. Your heart, my mind, our values. Evelyn stared at her for a long time, then smiled, slow, deep, reverent. You really love me. I really do. I never thought I'd want that again. Do you? Evelyn took her hand, laced their fingers together. I want everything with you, even the scary parts. Good, Rowan said, because I've already started writing the proposal. Of course you have. I even have a name. Oh no. Second house. Evelyn blinked. Explain. Because it's not the first life or the first love. It's the one that comes after the one we choose. Evelyn didn't answer, just pulled her into a kiss that left no room for doubt. When they pulled apart, she whispered, "Let's build it." That night, they lay in bed with laptops and wine planning, not the way Rowan used to plan with spreadsheets and projections and pressure, but with joy, with hope, with curiosity. You realize this means we're going to be that couple now, Rowan said. What couple? The one that runs a love fuel nonprofit and makes people nauseous with our cuteness. Good. You're ridiculous. You're mine. Rowan smiled always. They stayed up past midnight dreaming out loud. Outlines, ideas, names. Evelyn fell asleep with her head on Rowan's chest, fingers still curled over the keyboard. Rowan kissed her forehead, closed the laptop, and held her until sleep came. And in the quiet dark, she whispered, "Thank you for saving me." She didn't expect a reply, but Evelyn, half asleep, murmured, "You saved yourself. I just kept the light on." Rowan closed her eyes. Peace. She realized wasn't the absence of movement. It was the presence of meaning. And maybe, just maybe, this time she wasn't afraid of it at all. 6 months later, the house smelled like fresh paint and wildflowers. Rowan stood in the garden barefoot, hands on her hips, staring at the wooden sign that now hung above the front porch. Second house. It was simple, elegant, and somehow it made her eyes sting. She'd planted every flower bed herself. Evelyn's idea, of course, because rebuilding starts in the dirt. They'd spent afternoons on their knees in the earth, hands filthy, skin sun-warmed, laughing and kissing between planting rows of lavender and wild sage. The nonprofit had gone from a scribbled dream on a napkin to a fully registered organization, with a small office, a raw board, and their first grant secured. They were helping women, former executives, survivors, artists, creators. Women who had fallen and didn't know how to get back up until someone reminded them they could. And Rowan, she was one of them. Still rebuilding, still learning, but not alone. Never alone. Evelyn appeared behind her, wrapping her arms around her waist, chin resting on her shoulder. "You're staring at the sign like it owes you money." "It kind of does." "You okay?" "I'm full." "That's a new one." "It's terrifying." "It's beautiful." Rowan turned in her arms. Evelyn looked radiant in the late sun, lines soft around her eyes even softer when they were looking at her. "I was thinking," Rowan said, "maybe we should celebrate tonight." "Aren't we already? I mean, really celebrate. You, me, this life." "What are you suggesting? Dinner? Candles? The expensive wine we've been saving?" "You mean the one you said was for a real occasion?" "I think this counts." Evelyn leaned in, brushed their noses together. "It absolutely does." They cooked together like always, jazz playing low in the background. The window cracked open to let the breeze in. Rowan wore one of Evelyn's old button-downs, half open, legs bare. Evelyn watched her move through the kitchen like she couldn't believe she got to keep her. After dinner, they moved to the living room. The fire was already lit. The couch was messy with blankets. Rowan turned to Evelyn and took her hands. "I need to say something. Okay. I was afraid this would end, that it was too good to last. And now I know it's not perfect, but it's real and I want it forever. Evelyn's expression shifted, something reverent blooming in her eyes. Then keep it. I plan to. Rowan led her to the couch, pushed her down gently, climbed into her lap like she belonged there. I love you, she said. I love you so much it aches. Then let me take the ache, Evelyn whispered. Their kiss was slow, familiar, but still electric. Rowan's hand slid under Evelyn's shirt, fingers dancing along the skin. And she knew by heart now. You're mine, she breathed. I always have been. The heat built gradually. No rush, no desperation. Just two women claiming each other again, in the place they'd built together. Skin on skin, breath on breath. The kind of love that didn't need words, only presence. When they finally collapsed together, tangled in sweat and laughter, and whispered, I love you, the room smelled like fire and jasmine and something sacred. Rowan lay with her head on Evelyn's chest, fingers tracing lazy circles over her ribs. You know, she murmured, I lost everything once. I know, but it brought me here, to me and to myself. That's the real win. You were the win. Evelyn kissed the top of her head. You were never lost, Rowan. Just looking for the right place to land. I think I finally have. Outside the wind rustled the garden. Inside there was only quiet and in a quiet love. Not fragile, not rushed, just steady. True forever. Thank you so much for your support. Whether it's by liking, commenting, sharing, or sending your super thanks. You make all the difference here on the channel. See you in the next video.